My name is Joerg Hoffmann. I head up the IR effort at Wacker Chemie in Munich. Wacker Chemie is a great company based in Bavaria, but with a great global reach, and you probably have our products in your pocket. Where do I come from? I studied business administration in Mannheim and in Canada and Toronto, worked at a bank, then switched over to Höchst, went through some really exciting times at the Höchst M&A department as the company was changing. In the course of that, I got spun out with Celanese. I was employee number 7 of the new Celanese at the time, and we started a global share IR program in Germany. That kind of got boring after the company started making money, and I went into sales in the US and I sold chemical materials out of Texas by the truckload and by the rail car. After 3-4 years, we went back to Germany, and I helped Wacker do the IPO. In total, I've done like 4 IPOs as the lead IR, mostly without any help. So this was the Siltronic IPO, the Wacker IPO, Celanese IPO, and Höchst going to the New York Stock Exchanges. I now have some 18 years or so experience in the investor relations business, and I love it. Every quarter is a new challenge. Wonderful. You get to meet people that are really interesting. You get challenging questions. The level of repetition is rather low. I love it. These awards are an encouragement, and you're kind of ticking the box and saying, in hindsight, you must have done something right. But then we don't run the things that we do by looking into the rear mirror. The awards are kind of an exclusive support or so, but it's a look in the rear mirror. What's important is what's ahead. And that means we listen to investors, we constantly innovate our program, we adapt to whatever changes are there, and generally try to have fun doing what we do. These awards are incredibly helpful because it shows to the companies and the colleagues that support us that there is some recognition for what they do. Frequently, we come to them with last-minute questions and last-minute expectations, and then they sometimes struggle to help us. So, no surprise. We have the award, but the award is not in our rooms. I have the award passing around in the company because everybody who's helped me has earned their share of this reward. Currently, it's the last award sits with corporate development. And from there on, it moves to the head of silicones and so forth, because those were all the people that helped us. AI, I think, is a topic of the future. I think large parts of text drafting, like it's been done with Bloomberg already, will probably be done by AI, and then you'll start working on the spin and so forth. That is a substantial part. Roadshow planning, travel planning, those things will also probably become more sophisticated and automated. So mostly supporting roles, also IR reporting, like if I think about how do we track incoming calls, how we track our contacts with brokers and analysts and investors, and figuring out what topics were surveyed and so forth. I mean, all of those things are where AR plays a role. We're using this to some degree. Could we do it better? Yes. Should we do more of it? I have my doubts. An important part of investor relations is the second word. And the second word is relations, and that is interpersonal communications. And that is incredibly hard to substitute with some kind of ATM that churns out answers every time you punch in the right numbers. So I think there are limits to the use of AI, but AI can be incredibly important in the process. Well, fortunately, Wacker has always adhered to those standards, and we were one of the first companies right after we had the IPO to join the CDP program, for instance. So this has always been very important to us. And actually, we found that having a refined ESG profile is helping us commercially. And that's been an increasing wave of support over the last years. We now actually have one person that is responsible for ESG, but humbly, I would say we kind of in the IR department kickstarted a lot of the effort. But it makes perfect sense. If you look at it from a de-risking perspective, if you look into it from a commercial perspective, it makes absolute sense to phase out fossil fuels, so phase out your carbon emissions and so forth, because it helps you in the marketplace. It also helps us in the capital markets. That's nice, but actually, I think the commercial benefits should take center stage. At Höchst, we were in the midst of the Rhône-Poulenc Höchst merger, and I was responsible for doing the cash flow planning for the merged entities and so forth. And suddenly somebody showed up and says the bankers are all scared because we've been telling them for a long time that everything that's good is in life science, everything that's bad is in industrial chemistry. Tell them that if we spin out the industrial chemistry, that there's cash flows and so forth. And well, that's what I did. People were surprised. We spun an interesting story around this, and suddenly I was the head of IR of a newly founded subsidiary. We've been through a massive shift in the way that we use technology and the way that we interact through the pandemic. I remember very well that we tried to push video call conferences and video roadshows for quite a while without finding any response. People were just reluctant to use it. And suddenly, from one day to the other, it was the default access to investors. So these things happen constantly in this kind of business, and the business shifts and changes with technology, and so you just have to ride the wave and enjoy it. I found that we've actually improved and extended the intensity and the quantity of our outreach through the pandemic. And we did things differently. Since I fall asleep after a 1-hour presentation, we decided that none of our capital market days should be longer than an hour. So we condensed it and we did more of them, and it worked. It worked like a charm. Do not skip chemistry class. Seriously. That was not a good idea in hindsight. That's been a ton of them. And there are different categories. I mean, exciting places ranked by people, by sites, by the travel experience. I absolutely love sailing along the Amalfi Coast in Italy. What a wonderful place. But then there's other places. I used roadshows as a great excuse to go motorcycling in Australia, in other places. So there's different categories, but basically I enjoy going to the places that we go to professionally, but a large part of the attraction is actually the people that we meet. The most challenging thing that I've done, apart from the CFA, doing it while I was working, raising my kids. I would have to say that. They're now 24, 26 years old, so I'm really old guy. But that was, I think, the most rewarding and challenging thing that I've done. I would like to say thank you, Amini, and to the institutional investor. I think this is a great institution, and the feedback that you provide us is incredibly helpful in developing our processes and driving innovation in investor relations, which is helping the company. So thank you very much.